you just feel so isolated from everything, which is great if you just want to go from A to B. Oh, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. Now today I thought I'd just give the Anglia a little bit of TLC. I've not touched it in a few weeks and it wouldn't harm to give it a bit of a warm-up. I mean, there is a school of thought that says unless you're going for a proper drive, don't just run the car up just to warm it through a little bit. But I think as long as you do it sufficiently... Oh, there's a helicopter. I think as long as you do it... I wonder what he's up to. Yeah, where was I? I think as long as you warm it up sufficiently that not just the coolant gets warmed up but also the oil in the engine, and it's past the steaming stage out of the exhaust, I don't think it's going to do too much harm. And the other benefit is if you get some heat through things, it just displaces any moisture that may have built up on the engine, around the engine, ancillaries and so on. So I can't see it doing too much harm. So I've just primed up the fuel, as is routine with this kind of thing. So you can see even a little bit of corrosion just on some of the brackets and on the side of the carburetor there, and that's just with standing in here, and that's with a dehumidifier running. So like I say, a bit of warmth and it'll just get rid of the dampness that just builds up. Let me look at the dynamo there. Probably can't quite see that, but even the dynamo's got moisture on it. So yeah, I think we'll connect the battery up. I've done the fuel, warm it through, move it out, exercise the clutch and the brakes a little bit, and that won't do any harm at all. Right, let's get this onto here. The spanner of choice today is the trusty Snail brand. I'll just nip that up. Needs quite a lot of tightening, actually, surprisingly. But yeah, she hasn't run for quite a few weeks, because lately I've just been concentrating on the Prefect and figuring that all out. So yeah, don't want this one to deteriorate while it's sat there. Such a quiet sound, the engine, so I think we'll just let that warm up a little bit, apart from a slightly squeaky fan belt. It's probably just a little bit damp, but yeah, it's a very quiet sounding engine, this one. Let's just pop the bonnet up and have a quick look under there, make sure everything's behaving. Yeah, I think the fan belt could probably do with tightening up a little bit. The question is, do I take it for a little run? I wouldn't normally take something out at this time of year, because every now and again they grip the roads, and as we all know, salt underneath a car, over a car, doesn't really do it any favours at all. But equally, just having them sat around doing nothing doesn't do them any favours either. So that's always a big dilemma. Do you use them more but risk getting damaged through salt corrosion, but leave them in the garage and they just corrode while they're sat there doing nothing? So it's difficult to know which way to go, really. I guess the best thing is somewhere in between the two. Use them occasionally, keep everything ticking over and everything working, get heat through things on a fairly regular basis. You probably won't go too far wrong. At the moment it's just warming up. There's still plenty of steam coming out of the exhaust because it's only been running a couple of minutes or so. If I was to switch it off now, then all that would happen is it wouldn't be fully warmed up, but you fill the exhaust full of water, which leads to corrosion in the exhaust. So if you are going to run a car up over the winter, or at any time really, if you're going to run it for a long time until the majority of the steam clears at least, so you're not just leaving the exhaust full of water, because that's not going to do it any favours either. But it's just such a lovely little car, this one. I'm so pleased that I was able to buy this one. And it's just so sound in all the areas where you normally expect rot. This one is really, really good. It's amazingly good. I think we will take it for a little run down the road just to exercise everything, and because I miss driving it. It's all very well having them in the garage, but I do like to use these things. Right, let's go then. First gear, which of course is down here, because it's a 3-speed gearbox in the Anglia and the Ford Pops. Reverse is where you'd normally expect first. First is down where second would normally be. Second is up there. And top, third, is where fourth would normally be. That just keeps you on your toes. Right, let's go for a little spin. Should have cleaned the windscreen a little bit. There goes the demister. It's a gorgeous day, so seems a shame to miss out. The things you see. Well, that was neat seeing that little steamer just driving along as we pulled over. I mean, sometimes you do have to wonder why we actually like these old cars. I guess if you ask 10 different people, you probably get 10 different responses, but for me, it's just because it's a world away from the modern driving experience. You know, you drive a modern car and you just feel so isolated from everything, which is great if you just want to go from A to B. But if you actually want to drive a car and feel everything that's going on through the pedal, through the seat, through the steering, the noises, the engine, the gearbox, the back axle, all playing their own little tunes independently of each other, depending on what speed you're doing, what gear you're in, whether it's hilly, twisty, the roads, whatever they are, you're really in touch with driving. And even if it's something like this, which is, you know, to all intents and purposes, achingly slow and dynamically compared to a modern car, it's just nowhere. But that's not the point of something like this. It's to drive something that is totally different, and you have to drive it. If you make a mistake, you pay the consequences of it. It'll make a noise, you get a crunch gear, whatever. So you have to drive it properly, and when you do drive it properly, it's quite a rewarding thing to do, really. You know, and it's just nice to drive something that's just so different, and especially this time of year, you don't see a great deal of old cars on the road, which I can understand. This rarely goes out. Nothing I've got really goes out very much this time of year, but it is nice to make the exception occasionally when the weather is as beautiful as this. Let me know in the comments maybe why you like these old cars. There's quite a few people watch these videos now, so presumably I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. But today I just thought, I've not been out in anything for so long now. Occasionally Little Dodge would have gone out this time of year, maybe on a Christmas tree collection run or something like that, but we didn't even get to do that this year. So I thought it just seemed, with the weather like this, a great opportunity to pop out and just give this one a little bit of an airing. It won't do it any harm. I'll give it a rinse once it gets home, just in case there is any salt on the roads. There may be a little somewhere. I'm trying to avoid the worst of the muddy roads at least. Now let's go and carry on. Maybe I'll go and see where that little steamer's ended up. course, one of the hopes maybe this year is that the Prefect gets back on the road. It's not been on the road for 50 plus years, and because it's a little bit scruffier than this, the idea is that it can just be like an any weathers all year round classic car. I mean, this really just reminds me how much I like driving this time of year, especially when the weather's like this and the blue skies and everything. It's just fantastic, and often you get better weather in the winter than you do in the summer, so it seems a shame to miss out on driving in nice weather just because it is winter time. So yeah, that's, like I say, that's the ambition with the Prefect, is to be able to use that on a more regular basis than even the Anglia here. Obviously I still want to carry on driving this, but I don't want to expose this to bad weather too often. But the Prefect is a little bit scruffier, and I can just coat that with oil and everything else, and hopefully it'll make a very good usable little car. And being a 4-door as opposed to the 2-door of the Anglia here, it'll be just that little bit more practical. This has quite a nice interior, so I don't want to muck it up with grubby shoes and boots and things like that, nice original floor mats and so on, whereas the Prefect, all the original carpets are rotted and long gone. So that'll just have rubber mats in it for the foreseeable future. And again, bad weather, grubby boots, painted floor, it doesn't really matter too much, whereas this is a little bit too nice to treat it too badly when the weather is a little bit mucky. Anyway, I think we'll probably head back home now and give it a quick clean, tuck it away again. Now it's all fully warmed through, and that should have done it some good. Well, we're back home again, a little 5-mile jaunt just down the lanes just to exercise everything. It's quite a treat to spot that little miniature traction engine driving along. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I also bumped into a chap I know who has a E83W van in his shed, so we had a quick chat as well. So none of that was planned, it was just one of those things, just a couple of happy coincidences. So we're back home now, so I'll just go and get the bucket, give this a quick rinse down, and it can be drying off, and then I'll put it away again, and then quite a nice little run out. Thanks very much for watching this short video. Plenty more videos on the Prefect and the Anglia elsewhere on the channel, plus the E83W van. More videos along very, very soon. Bye for now.